Hello and welcome to Friday Finds with Rob Meyer-Kukan.
Hello everyone, I'm Rob Meyer-Kukan and welcome to my guest Larry Sue. How are you today, Larry?
Well, Rob, how about you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Thank you so much for being my guest today and for taking the time to share with us about your book and some of the things that you're doing. My first question for you is to just ask you to give us a basic introduction to who you are and tell us what you do.
Well, I'm retired from software engineering, but more importantly, I've been a church musician since I was a teenager, and I've been in handbell since 1987. And so now my wife, Carla, and I, now that we've retired from California to live in Michigan, spend a lot of time practicing 8-bell duets and also selling music and doing other things like that. We've been having a very nice time. It's a very different lifestyle.
Wonderful, excellent. And tell me a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. What is it, who's it for, and how did it come to be?
Well, I've been a bass specialist ever since the other bass player in our handbell choir at church decided to go play with a different group. And so my assignment became CD4 and anything to the left that you can manage. So I became a bass specialist. And over another probably 10 or 12 years, I accumulated enough information so that I decided to write what's called the Bass Ringer's Notebook. The first edition was 10 years ago, and then it went out of print recently. So we took the opportunity to gain control of it, and now we've produced a second edition of the Bass Ringer's Notebook.
Excellent. And so tell us a little bit about what's contained in the Bass Ringer's Notebook.
It has quite a bit of information. The opening chapters talk about things like using gloves, getting tape, also stretching, which I know you're an advocate of doing.
Yes.
Wonderful stretches that they do. And then it goes into basics about how to hold the bell. Probably the main topic that a lot of bass ringers want to get a better feel for is how to lift it off the table, and then how to ring it, and then how to put it back where you got it.
Excellent.
Information about those days when you have enough bells to play where your assignment doesn't make it very easy to play it with them in keyboard order. So you can take them out, put them out of order, and try that as an alternate solution to just keeping them where you have them.
Wonderful. And who is this book for? Just for bass ringers, or?
It's pretty much aimed directly at bass ringers. Bass ringers in handbells is anybody who plays C5 downward, because that's what we notate on the bass clef. It probably focuses somewhat more on C4 and down, because that's when you just can't simply latch onto the handle and overpower the bell by just lifting it with your pure muscle mass.
Right.
At some point, they become big enough so that you have to use better and better physics to handle them well.
So handbell and physics come to meet in your book a little bit.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
The one thing that we did with the second edition was to include a correlated YouTube channel with videos and slow motion of a lot of the techniques, so that you can get a better idea of how it actually looks instead of seeing a sequence of stop motion photographs.
That's great. And that's one of the things that, as I've been reading the book and playing around with some of the things you talk about, I've really liked seeing. I'm a really visual learner, so I've really liked seeing it all in action, which is great. And we'll make sure to put a link to Larry's YouTube channel in the description below, so that people who would like to see this for themselves can click on it and get to it really quick and easy. I imagine that this book would also be a pretty good resource for directors to have too.
Yeah, I think so, because there are a lot of directors who may or may not have run bass bells before, but certainly a lot of them have enough bells so that they've got some people playing them.
Cool.
Nice reference work where if one of your players needs an idea, you can at least grab the book and say, here, take a look and see if something helps.
Excellent. And how do people get a copy of this book?
You can get it off of our website. We have an e-store there, and you can just go to courageous.com. I know you're going to put a link on there. People historically have a little difficulty spelling the domain name, but not a problem. And then you can search for Bass Ringer's Notebook. As a matter of fact, you can just Google it and find it online.
Excellent.
And once you do the standard sort of e-store thing, you click on it, you add it to your cart, and then you pay by PayPal.
Great. So it's pretty quick and easy to get it out.
Yes.
Excellent. And how do people reach you if they want to get a hold of you, if they have questions for you or just want to pick your brain?
I'm on Facebook. Not hard to find there. Also, I've got an email address, and I think you'll be providing that as well.
Yes. Excellent.
You can see me at the festival, or sometimes if you go to larryandcarla.com, if you feel like catching up with things we do on our performance schedule, we'll be there, of course.
Right. So this is a little off book here, but could you tell me a little bit, or tell all of us a little bit about your 8-bell music and what you do with that?
This started as a response to desperation. Carla was in a trio in England, and they were doing a lot of performing in care homes, so old people's homes, retirement communities, or what we call them here. And all of a sudden, one of the members decided she wanted to go do something else. So that left 2 of them, and they had been playing 12-bell music. With only 2, you can't really do 6 each very easily.
Right.
They took the 12-bell music they had, and they figured out which ones they could still make work more or less. And then Carla sent an email saying, help, some of these quit, and we need some music. Can you help us? And so I started experimenting with what was possible. And after Carla came here in 2012, we started writing more and more, and we became more and more amazed at all the things that we could squish into 1 octave of bells. And so now we have, about 2.5 hours of Christmas music and a couple of hours of hymns and other things. It's very easy for us to just go out on the street with a music stand, a percussion table, and a case of bells and start playing.
That's pretty cool. It's really nice to hear about the versatility. You could perform in a church setting, for a concert setting, or just out on the street in case you run out of money and need to have dinner that night.
Exactly.
That's a pretty cool way to use your bells.
We also did a lot of 8-bell playing for the Salvation Army. That was a really nice thing, because normally you go there and you see one person with one kettle and one little bell that doesn't have a lot of tone to it. And when we signed up to do that, we asked the Salvation Army office if we could take our handbells down and play 8-bell music, and they said, sure, why not?
That's fantastic.
So it's been a lot of fun doing that as well.
That's an amazing use of the bells and of your gift of being able to do all of that. So for those folks who are not handbell musicians, not regular handbell musicians, can you, and again, this is off book, so thank you for going with this, tell us exactly how do you, between the 2 of you, play 8 bells?
We take 4 apiece, we put 2 in each hand. The thing that's important to know is that your normal handbell has a clapper that only goes in one axis. And so if you turn the 2 bells so that they go in different directions, you can control them independently.
Wow.
And once you've got that, all you have to do is figure out which one you're playing, and then where it is, and when to play it.
Just that easy.
That's what we tell people, and then they kind of say, oh. But it's, with some amount of practice, it becomes easier and easier.
Yeah, it's definitely a puzzle for your mind to keep together. So is this skill of playing multiple bells in one hand something you can do in the bass clef?
Yes, I was in charge of a group called Loading Zone. I'm wearing my shirt here, which is a little off camera. But we billed ourselves as the world's first bass-only handbell ensemble.
Cool.
With 8 years of music. We had one member who joined us for 1 year. and she was next to my son. And by the end of that year, he had her absolutely convinced that four in hand with fours was perfectly normal.
Wow.
And we had a term girly bell, which we used to specify a bell which you could hold on the bottom of a pair. And so right now, E3, which weighs about 6 pounds, is a girly bell.
So you make special considerations for the size and weight of the bell to make sure that it's easy to ring and safe for the body and still going to get the sound of the music that you want.
Yes, you have to do that or else something's going to get broken.
Yeah, and hopefully nothing gets broken. We don't want any broken bells or bell ringers. Very cool. Well, the way I like to end the interviews is to ask my guests to give your words of wisdom. So maybe the best piece of advice you were ever given, whether it's funny or serious, related to our topic or not. So would you share with us some words of wisdom?
I thought about that. It was a tough thing to answer, but I came to the conclusion that probably some of the greatest wisdom I've encountered isn't necessarily advice, but it's from the far side. And then I found myself torn between which one I thought was best, but probably comes down to one of two things. The cartoon that says Midvale School for the Gift, and the other one that where one deer is saying to the other, bummer of a birthmark, Hal.
Ah, yes.
And if
So
you know these cartoons, and they're actually kind of like verbal memes across the world. If not, you can certainly find them by Googling them.
right. So a little bit of humor goes a long way or takes you to new places. One of the two, right? Fantastic. Well, I'd like to thank you, Larry, once again for joining me and for taking the time to share with us and talk with us about the Bass Bell or the Bass Ringer's Notebook, the second edition. And to those who are watching, if you found benefit from this video, go ahead, click the thumbs up and like the video and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to check out Larry's book and the resources that he has available, information about how to contact him, how to get in touch with him, how to order the book will be available in the comments below. And we just once again want to say thank you to you, Larry, and hope everyone has a really great and awesome day.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
Join me next week as I interview Stevie Berryman, who is, among other things, the creator of Crimes Against Handbells.